help us to put aside the struggles and difficulties of our individual lives and be able to come together to resolve issues that you put before this board. I pray, Lord, that you would just help this board to make decisions that are fair, that are just, that are honoring to you. Lord, I pray that we would be able to put aside our own desires for the sake of others who may have needs. I pray that, Lord, you would help us to consider others more important than ourselves. I pray, Lord, that as this meeting goes on, that you would just bring peace, that there would be just an attitude of unity together in this community. And I just pray that it would all be to your glory. And I just lift this meeting up to you. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
And if you could just remain standing, I'd like to call the meeting to order for the pledge. And Catherine, would you like to start the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It's weird. If you look at the back of Sean's head.
Something I can definitely get used to, though.
Diane, do I call
Yeah,
the
he's
approval
gonna be
or
on
the
there.
post?
Okay.
Okay. Can I have a first and second for the approval of the town board meeting minutes of December 19th, 2017?
I'll move.
I'll second.
And then do you do a roll call?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, you want to do, oh, well, I'll just go ahead.
Yeah.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
The minutes are approved.
Do we need to do this?
You want me to just go into what you're going to do?
You know what, let's do this first.
Okay.
Jody, would you like to
Yes,
address?
please. I'd like Councilman Dunleavy to please come up so we can honor him for his years of service.
Why are you standing? I feel like I'm saluting.
But you'd be in Florida.
He stayed just for this, right? He stayed just for this. So, I just want to, and the town board, the few of us that have been here, that have worked with you over the years, want to thank you. We really appreciate your service. You know, John is the councilman that was out every morning at 5:30, making sure that street lights were working and that the town was quiet and running smoothly. And if anybody did need damage over the weekend, he'd let us know about it. And so instrumental in so many committees and the traffic safety and some of the biggest decisions that have had to have been made in the town of Riverhead over the years. And I didn't want you to just walk away and walk out of town hall without letting me know personally what your service meant to me as a taxpayer, because I think you're great all the way around. And so I know that Jim and Tim both have something to say, and then we'll present you with this, so.
Well, congratulations, Sean. I want to go a little further back in the town board stuff because I think
Yes.
it's very important. When I first started with the police department, obviously you were a seasoned officer at the time. You were instrumental in starting the Juvenile Aid Bureau. And that flourished over the years. The police athletic league came out of that. A lot of good work that you've done in the community beyond the town board work. Your dedication, your service, Lions Club, Kiwanis maybe?
Ambulance.
Lions, your work on the ambulance, because back in the day when I became an EMT, you were one of the founding people with the ambulance corps. You're just a really good community person, and that's what Riverhead's all about. And I really sincerely thank you for all the work and dedication you've put in over the years for everything.
Thank you.
Jim?
I didn't know I was going to say anything, but I'm trying to think. But actually, John, the one thing I can say about you is that every time we sat at a work session here, or even a town board meeting, I sat next to you.
Yes.
You had no problem and no hesitation to bring any concern that you heard that morning, or that afternoon, or the night before, right to this board, when it was somebody out in the public that said, I have a problem with this, and you didn't care whether it was on the agenda or not. You said, you know what, I want to throw it out there and let the board deal with it. So that, the public should be happy for, and I appreciate that candor and that honesty and that forthrightness, and I hope that I can do some of that. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
very good, man. Thank you,
John,
Jen.
I want to say that I'm honored and pleased to be sitting in your seat in these meetings. Thank you.
And thank you. I'm sorry we're not going to get to work with you.
That's all right, thank you.
Okay,
That's
picture.
okay.
Photo op.
I just want to thank everybody, especially the voters of the town of Riverhead, for supporting
supporting me the way they did for the past 12 years. And I just hope that you continue to support me in my endeavors to what I want to do. So thank you very much, and I appreciate everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Get in the middle, John.
Get in the middle.
Oh.
Hop in the middle. Look at Jill first.
Then maybe you gonna stay and take it over? Oh, no, okay, then you can, now you can look at me.
Do a shot wonder, hopefully it'll come out good.
Everybody's eyes be closed. Smile, John.
Joey's lifted up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm not answering. Years ago, back there.
For the correspondence?
Yeah, correspondence report.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. On the agenda, under correspondence, we had a letter from the Wading River Civic Association urging the town board to vote against scheduling a qualified and eligible hearing for Calverton Aviation and Technology. Under reports, the tax receiver total tax collection to date as of December 27th was $11,356,577.05. Building Department submitted their December monthly report, and that was $39,201.75. Town of Riverhead 2016 financial statements were submitted. Riverhead Industrial Development Corporation and Riverhead Economic Job Development submitted 2018 budgets. And there are no public hearings scheduled.
Okay. So at this point, before we move into resolutions, I just ask if there's anybody from the public who would like to come up and address the board about any of the items, the resolutions, to please make your way up there now.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the new year. Angela DeVito, South Jamesport. Resolution 17, a stipend for the town engineer. Can you explain what that stipend is for?
It's
And the
for-
amount?
Yeah, it's for the stop waste cleanup. Let me just get to it.
That's in addition to salary then? He's for time that he serves for that?
Correct.
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 Comes Saturdays, 2 days a year for 8 hours a day, and then he also coordinates all of the weights and all of the material that's taken away from the stop days and does the reporting and signs the document that's submitted to the E DEC.
But as a management confidential employee, those are not duties that are considered part of his job?
No, that was, he took those jobs over with retirement of John Reed,
Yes.
so he took over that responsibility.
And I
They
think
got
that's,
added to his, so that they got added to, actually to his job assignment.
Yes.
Correct.
It
I
was
guess I
always
would
under
question why there
sanitation.
should be additional pay for it.
and I think
If it
they
got
actually
added to
even,
his job.
I think they even actually added an extra day last year too. It was one day
That's
extra.
it's a third one.
Yeah, a third day, and they still kept the same stipend with that.
It was a way of cutting down on the whole sanitation department.
Save a lot of money.
That's a bad precedent also. Resolution 33. Does this mean that the discs for the town meetings are going to be transcribed? Or is that something, I know we get the minutes get put up on the town clerk's site.
I believe it's the transcription for the minutes. We had somebody, I guess on the December 17th meeting, they had somebody, but they felt that they wanted to add a backup to that in case that person wasn't available. So that's the
Okay.
addition of somebody.
Okay, thank you.
And it's on call line.
They'll be here next meeting, actually.
Yes.
Qualified and eligible.
Are they? Because I thought that our council said that they were going to bring their own stenographer, didn't they?
I believe the stenographer was coming through the
Okay.
town.
But we would,
If I had called, I
Right.
rescheduled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else that wanted to come up and speak to anything on the resolutions? Seeing nobody, we'll move to the resolutions.
Okay, resolution number 1.
Set salaries of elected officials for the year 2018. So moved.
Seconded?
Do you want to do the moving second and vote, please, or you don't want to do that?
Sure, I can see that. Moved and seconded, vote please.
Okay. Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution number 2.
Set salaries of various boards for the year 2018. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution number 3.
Number 3 sets the salary of general town employees for the year 2017. So, 2017?
Should be
2018.
2018.
So
Where's
moved.
Sal?
Oh, that is wrong. Let's correct that. All right, I will make a note to correct that.
Moved as amended.
I'll second, as amended.
Moved and seconded as amended. Vote, please.
Yes.
Kent. Oh.
I'm not first.
I know. We're all gonna have to get used to that, right? Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
I'm going to vote no because I voted no for the CSEA, for department heads tying their raises to the CSEA raises. I didn't think that they were a collective bargaining unit and should not be acting as such and tying themselves to a union contract. So there are about, I think it's almost $50,000 in raises in here for department heads that I don't think that it should have been negotiated that way. I voted no for the resolution. I'm voting no for the raises again this year.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution number 4.
Getting there. Set salaries of highway department for the year 2018. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution number 5.
Set salaries of police officers for the year 2018. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Should have stayed at con. Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution number 6.
Set salaries of sewer scavenger waste district for the year 2018. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
No, for the same reason as stated before.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution number 7.
It sets salaries of street lighting district for the year 2018. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes. We're gonna get this right.
We're gonna have a good
Who's on
time.
first? We are.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution number 8.
Set salaries of water district employees for the year 2018. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
I just want to make sure you all got the revised resolution. There was a slight error on one of them. Did you get the revised resolutions?
I'm on the revised one.
On Robin Halpin, it was 9/8A. There was an A added?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, just wanted to make sure. I'm
On
sorry.
which one?
It's Halpin.
Yeah.
It's 9/8A.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
there was a salary change too. Okay, are we up to the vote?
Yes.
Jody and Tim, you
Moved and
press the
Okay,
second?
yes. Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution number 9.
General Fund, Public Information Budget Adjustment. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 10.
Resolution amending the chart of accounts. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio.
This is the new computer software program that we have for the accounting department, so it's just basically an index of what the old numbers were for each budget line to what the new numbers are. Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes, and just so anybody who is a budget aficionado, we'll keep both budgets up on the town website so that you can refer back and forth to them just for the first year. So it'll be easier with both sets of, two budgets. One will be the revised, we'll have the new numbers, and the other one will have the old numbers so that you can glance at the two of them together.
Resolution number 10 is adopted. Resolution 11.
11 authorizes the acceptance of funding from PSE&G in conjunction with the Riverhead Business Improvement District Management Association, BIDMA, for Main Street revitalization. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
This is a $15,000 match from the Business Improvement District Management Association. I asked at the work session that they would submit a revised budget, including the $15,000 expenditure. So, based on the deputy supervisor saying that it's confirmed, then I'll vote yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution number 12.
Authorizes an application on behalf of the North Fork Animal Welfare League for funding from New York State Department of Agricultural and Markets from the New York State Companion Animal Capital Fund for construction of a new animal shelter. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 13.
Approves highway superintendent expenditures. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 14.
Ratifies and accepts the postponement of a retirement. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 15.
This adopts a 2018 living wage. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 16.
Maintains policy of non-discrimination. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 17.
Authorizes stipend with town engineer. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 18.
Appoints executive assistant to the supervisor. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 19.
Goes right below the.
Yeah.
Almost went right past it.
But there wasn't a.
Setting terms and I was reading it, that's why.
Right.
Setting terms and conditions of employment for John Marafino, executive assistant to the supervisor. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
I'm gonna vote no because they're only required to pay 15% of their health benefits, where other appointeds in the, council office and then also in the supervisor's office were required to pay 25%. So I'm gonna vote no.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
I'm voting yes, and I have to say that in previous, those that were slotted to pay the 25% did not take insurance, and those that were slotted to pay nothing did take their insurance.
Well, Carissa Willis did pay 25%, and she was our town board coordinator, and it was in her contract for 25%, if any of them did decide to take benefits.
Okay.
Resolution adopted. Resolution number 20.
Appoints a secretary to the town supervisor's office. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 21.
Setting terms and conditions of employment for Patrick Dorenzi, secretary to the supervisor. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
No, for the same reason stated in the last resolution.
Wooten.
Only if he decides not to dress better than the rest of us. Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes, and I can ask him to give you some styling.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 22.
Appoints a part-time legislative secretary. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Absolutely.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 23.
This reappoints the town historian. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 24.
Sets the fees for usage of recreation and other town facilities. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 25.
Annual review and adoption of procurement policies. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes, and this is just as part of an annual meeting that has to be updated every year. There's been no change to the procurement policy, but it is updated annually.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 26.
Appoints official online publication. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution number 27.
This appoints bond counsel. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 28.
Sets towing and storage fees. So moved. Towing and storage fees. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 29.
Adopts amendment to investment policy for the town of Riverhead. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 30.
Appoints official newspaper. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 31.
31 approves the Chapter 255 application of Event Power, which is Riverhead Rocks Run on March 24th, 2018. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 32.
Rescinds resolution number 897-2017. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 33.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement with Flynn Stenography and Transcription Services for transcription of town meetings. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 34.
Extends bid for electric motor repair replacement, including emergency repair for the Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 35.
35 is a resolution to pay bills. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
At this point, I'd ask anybody from the audience who would like to come up and address the board to...
Actually, we have a resolution off the floor. And this is to reappoint the town attorney, Bob Kozakevich. This was in the packet, but it was pulled from the packet, so I am just wanting it back in the packet. So,
Do you have a copy, Judy?
there should be an extra one down there for you.
And I also have someone coming off the floor for...
Well, let's take one at a
Okay.
time. So you're asking to take this off the floor?
Yes.
So is there a first and second to take this off the floor?
I make a motion, we take, Diane, what resolution number is it?
This will be 36.
Resolution number 36, off the floor to reappoint the town attorney, Robert Kozakevich. So moved.
Second.
So that's a first and second to take this resolution off the floor? And can I have a first and a second to...
We'll call the vote to take it off the floor.
Call the vote to take it off the floor.
Kent,
I'm gonna vote no on this. Certainly nothing personal, but Laura had asked the rest of the board for 30 days to take this position under consideration. So, in the spirit of cooperation, I'm asking everyone to give Laura that 30 days that she requested.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes, to take it off the floor.
Wooten,
Yes, to take it off the floor.
Jen Smith.
No to take it off the floor.
The resolution is taken off the floor. We can call resolution 36.
I make a motion, we call resolution number 36 to reappoint the town attorney, Robert Kozakevich. So moved.
Seconded.
I have a first and second. Is there any discussion on this? I think I would reiterate what Catherine is saying. We met with the board the other day. I did speak to them to ask for Mr. Kozakevich to give us 30 to 60 days to determine the position, to get to know each other. There was an incident that happened in the fall with Mr. Kozakevich, and I think that it would have been in the spirit of cooperation to allow me those 30 to 60 days before this reappointment. But I see that you've wanted to take it off the floor, so we can call for a vote on it now, unless anybody else would like to speak.
I'll speak as I vote.
Okay, resolution 36. Who wants to call?
I make a motion, we approve, we
We
move
did it.
resolution, we did.
We did it,
We
I
did
moved
it.
it in
And
second.
then we moved it in second, so now you're gonna call the vote.
You're gonna call the
No,
vote now.
Right,
Right.
okay. Kent,
I'm voting no for my stated reasons.
Hubbard,
Yes, 30 to 60 days to me wouldn't make a difference. This gentleman has been the town attorney for a number of years. In my eyes, I've been here 2 years working with him. I've known him since I was a teenager, and I'm extremely happy with the work that he does for the town in his position, so my vote is yes.
Giglio,
And I would like to say the same thing, that I've been working with Bob for the last 8 years. There's a lot of litigation and a lot of matters that are out there right now that Bob has been very tentative to. I feel that in executive session that there were accusations that were made about Bob's performance that don't necessarily pertain to Bob. And I feel that it was kind of like a witch hunt to go after him. And for those reasons, I am voting yes.
Wooten,
I didn't prepare a speech, but I wasn't privy to that conversation at the work session yesterday, because I had to leave early. If I had been, I would have certainly rallied to support this resolution, so I vote yes.
Jen Smith,
I'd just like to comment, first off, those conversations in executive session are privileged conversations.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was general. I'm sorry.
Nope, it was an executive session
And
that
it
you're
was a
referring
general.
to.
Did I stand
So,
corrected?
Statement.
I stand corrected?
So once again, I would just like to say, I would have appreciated as a new supervisor coming in. I had requested, as I said, 1 month to 2 months before this reappointment was made. So I am voting no on this resolution.
resolution adopted. And we have 2 more to come off the floor.
Yes, do you have them? Where?
I do, and Jody, did you have? No, I thought I gave them to you.
Jim has them right there.
Oh, right, okay,
I marked them later.
okay. I have copies of them. That's what you were asking. for
Oh,
copies.
oh, you have copies.
We need them
Does the
down
board
here, we
have
don't have
copies?
them, I don't think.
Thank you, Diane.
We haven't seen these at all.
Okay.
They weren't brought up in work session and.
No, I brought them, right, I brought them up, I didn't realize that this was not part of the package.
Do you need one? Anybody else need?
I need a
I
set,
don't know, you
isn't
guys
there?
don't
Oh,
have?
I put distributed.
I think we have them all. Does everybody have one? Have them?
Well.
Diane, do you have copies?
I have one more copy,
I think
but I'm
you're-
good.
Okay.
Which one will be resolution 37?
Which one did you have more, 37?
I think I handed it,
No,
oh,
I
I'm
handed
sorry,
it
I
back.
think I handed it to you.
Oh, one of them was,
Here.
hold on. 37.
37 is Otto, 38 is, Eddie.
80 is 38 and 37 is...
At the motion, there's two resolutions I'd like to take off the floor. One reappoints member and the chairman and vice chairman of the zoning board of appeals. The other reappoints a member and chairman and vice chairman of the town of Riverhead Planning Board. One is in reference to Otto Whitmire on the zoning board. The 38 is in reference to Edward Denisevsky on the planning board. So I'd like to move that these resolutions be taken off the floor. So
Can you take them off together, or do you have to take them off individually?
you can take them off.
Take off together? Okay.
So I'll call a vote.
No.
Well,
it
there's,
hasn't
we
been
only
seconded
had,
yet.
we haven't been seconded.
Hasn't been seconded.
I second it.
Moved and seconded to take off the floor?
Kent?
I vote no, that this wasn't brought up to us prior to this moment.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Jen Smith?
No.
The resolution is taken off the floor. Resolutions 37 and 38 are both taken off the floor.
Okay. I'd like to move resolution number 37, which reappoints member, chairman, and vice chairman to the Town of Riverhead Zoning Board of Appeals. So moved.
Point of order, Madam Chair, and there to be discussion from the public, as we have not been made privy to these resolutions until just now.
Bob, how does that work?
Already on the vote.
Well, no, there's been no second to take the resolutions. We have taken them off of the floor, so now they are currently off the floor, but they are not in a vote yet. No, but the second has not happened to take them.
I just moved it, but hasn't been
I don't
It
have
hasn't
any,
been
I don't have any
I don't have
objections to
any
hearing
problem.
from the public.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can let it, okay, at
Yeah.
this point, we will allow any discussion from the audience.
Don't you need a second for discussion? Don't you need a second for discussion?
No, because the audience can address resolutions before we vote on them.
It's okay, Jim. Let
Oh,
it-
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you took it off the floor and I
It's
vote
off
yes
the floor,
for
so now it's
discussion.
the same as it would be in the packet
Right.
in the
okay.
beginning, so.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Is this open microphone now, time?
It is.
Could you introduce yourself first,
Okay.
please?
All right, as a citizen of the town of Riverhead, I want to congratulate our new supervisor and a councilwoman and our re-election of our other councilwoman, Jody.
Thank you, John.
I congratulate all of you. The only thing I want to tell is we have 25% of our population are senior citizens in the town of Riverhead. I could not convince the old supervisor to put an assisted living in Riverhead. He wanted to put one in the town of Southampton, and it was not proper. Every town in the town of,
Hey, John, can we just wait, we'll do the
Oh, okay.
resolutions, and then when we get back,
It was
we're
over
almost,
like that.
we're almost
Yeah,
done.
okay.
Sorry. Sorry, John.
Angela DeVito, South Jamesport. I'd like to speak to Resolution 38. Having attended the work session on Tuesday, I believe the 2nd of January, these resolutions, as you went through the package, I don't remember them being there, this one being here. And I think that there was a very healthy and sincere discussion of reappointments to all committees. And what I see this afternoon is the same shameful show of partisan politics to push in candidates before anyone else in the town has an opportunity to say that they're interested in perhaps participating on these committees. It's a huge turnaround from Tuesday. I don't know what happened, but all I can say is that it really is very, very saddening to see this happen here. I'm not saying that Mr. Whitmire is not a good candidate for the ZBA, and Mr. Densieski is not a good candidate for the planning board, but to achieve it this way, I think is shameful, and shame on all three of you.
Thank you.
Hi, Greg Fisher, Town of Riverhead, Calverton. I really would feel more at ease if the matters put before the board without notice were rescinded and public comment was allowed, including the nomination or reappointment of the town attorney. Certainly, if the town attorney was going to continue, he could be of counsel for any period of time. If there was another town attorney appointed, he could be of counsel later. So the argument that he's the one only with knowledge is not really accurate here. The town employs a lot of outside counsel, and so a relationship between the town attorney and other counsel is commonplace. This is not to say anything against Mr. Kosakevich. We've been in court together on several things. It's just to say that we have a problem with the procedure as well. I agree with Ms. DeVito that every matter put up on short notice, unpublished, needs to have the opportunity for public input and for the suggestion of other possible citizens as members of those panels. So I'm kind of just speaking against any rush to vote or judgment on any appointments whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you.
John McAuliffe, Riverhead. My presumption of a motion taken from the floor is that it either is of minor significance and uncontroversial, or that it represents some kind of an emergency. Both of these motions clearly have to do with a political maneuver to retain from the old era the town attorney, and now to put in place other people who may or may not, I have no idea of their specific qualifications, but the rush to judgment is distressing. It's particularly distressing if one was at the inauguration, in which a spirit of collaboration, a spirit of nonpartisanship was emphasized. But instead, what we're seeing this afternoon is the same old, same old, same old, and I think in doing so and moving ahead with all three of these resolutions, the Republicans on the board are essentially creating a model, a pattern, which is going to haunt you for the next 2 years of service together. And if it is possible to undo what you did on the attorney, you should do it. And certainly you should not go forward with these other things until there is an adequate period for discussion and response from the public and discussion among yourselves about whether there are others as qualified or better qualified that should also be considered.
Thank you.
Irene Penzick. I agree with the former speaker. Also, it is a matter of courtesy in elections that when a new administration comes in, they have the opportunity to choose the people they work with. That doesn't mean they won't work with the people who are already in the jobs, but it gives them that opportunity. The majority of this board is not giving the new supervisor or the new councilwoman that opportunity. I'm disappointed in you. I thought better of you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, there's a motion on the floor. It just needs a second for number 37, to reappoint member, chairman, vice chairman to the town zoning board of appeals. I moved it, and that's...
Can you say who, I'm sorry, who you're meeting?
What do you want to know?
Because it's not clear to me what the resolutions say.
This resolution, I'll read it again,
Okay.
and I'll be a little more clearer. Reappoints member,
Who is that, though?
Otto Whitmire,
Okay.
chairman and vice chairman to the town of Riverhead Zoning Board of Appeals. And this,
So Fred McLaughlin?
well, Fred McLaughlin here serves as chairman. I don't know why.
There's a board seat on the planning board, and there's a board seat on the zoning board. They serve for a period of time, and at the end of that period of time, they need to be reappointed. There was, what we spoke about at the work session, was opening those up to the community to apply for the positions in which they would then be interviewed, and then it would be decided on who would be appointed to the position. What the resolution is asking is to negate that process and to have the two people that are sitting there whose appointment's up automatically reappointed without opening it back up to the public for those parties that may be interested in the community to participate.
And that's Mr. Whitmire and Mr.
Deniseski, yes.
But neither of them are chairman?
No,
That's what's confusing.
because it says reappoints member, chairman, and vice chairman. It should just be reappoints
Member.
a member.
But I think that you have to reappoint the chairman every year.
Yes.
You have to reappoint the chairman and the vice chair every year on all the boards.
So is this doing that?
Yes.
It is, because Otto, on the zoning board, Otto Whitmire is currently on the zoning board of appeals as a member and then acting as the vice chair. So what they're looking to do is not only continue his service on there by reappointing him, but at the same time, reappoint him as vice chair. And the same holds true for Ed Deniseski. So what they're trying to do is reappoint Ed Deniseski without opening it to the public, to be able to participate in the process. And in doing that, they are also trying to reappoint Stan Carey and Ed Deniseski back to the position of chair and vice chair.
So did we second it? Did anybody second it?
I
Diane?
moved it. It's
You
been
moved
out
it.
there, been out
Well,
there. in
I'll
the-
second for
Oh,
the,
man.
for the chairman
37?
and vice chairman of the zoning board, 37, yes.
I'm sorry, for 37 and 38?
Well, we
No,
already
we're
took them
gonna
off
do
the
each
floor.
one individually.
Right, we took them off, so you want to do them individually, okay. So for number 37, you're asking for number 37, is that what you,
It's been moved and seconded.
Yes,
Is this to take it off the floor or do we-
no, this is to vote.
it's up for vote now.
Moved and seconded, yes. No.
Kent?
I'm going to vote no, and this has absolutely nothing to do with these two gentlemen who I know well and I like, and it's very possible that they would have both been reappointed. However, we did have discussion and request that the committees, the openings on committees be advertised, and the reason we did that is because we were committed to having more open and transparent government. I have to say, I am very disappointed with this happening at our first meeting, but I'm going to remain hopeful that this does not set the tone for the way things will go here moving forward, because in my mind, and as a resident of Riverhead, this is a very partisan move. And I'm disappointed because we all pledged that we would work together. And as I said, it's not against these guys. But I think Riverhead deserves better. We wanted to open this up and to advertise and give people an opportunity to be on these committees. So once again, I vote no.
Hubbard?
Yes, and I'm voting for the people and the job that they do, not because of politics. Just want to make that clear.
Giglio?
And I will let it be known that when the supervisor-elect came to me and said that she wanted to open these positions up for interviews, I told her that I was very pleased with the work that Otto and Ed had done, and that I was going to support Otto and Ed. She told me that I couldn't do that. I said, I can and I will. And it has nothing to do with party politics. We have several of committees that we're looking for appointments on that people are welcome to. But in my mind, these people think like I do, Otto and Ed, and I'm going to appoint people to boards that make decisions that affect the town the way I think. So I'm voting yes for Otto and for Ed when that resolution comes up. They're like-minded.
I'm sorry, Wooten?
Yes, I mean, the reason I brought this up was a couple of reasons, and I can understand the transparency, a lack of, or maybe not good government by just rubber stamping a reappointment, but I think to not reappoint them, and you know, it's not, for me, it's, and you can snicker all you want, it's not about politics for me, because if you remember last time, I had the challenge, and I had the primary for my seat from the Republican Party, so it's not like I'm a standard bearer for the Republican Party, that's not the way it is. Otto Whitmire and Eddie Denisevsky, to me, growing up here, having roots here, been part of this community for many generations, just like you, Irene, and your family, I think bring a lot to the table, and they're proven. They've been doing the job. They know what they're doing. I think, yes, it'd be nice to get a pool of new, fresh people that might want to serve, but I think if the end result is that we're going to reappoint them anyway, then why put people through all of that? There's other positions for people to come to. So out of respect to them and the job that they're doing, I'm going to vote yes.
Jen Smith?
I think, once again, I think that good government is about transparency. I think it's about giving anybody in the community the opportunity to participate, especially on these important boards, on the zoning board and on the planning board. I think that Otto and Ed have been doing a good job there. And I even spoke to Ed Denisevsky and said that we were going to be opening this up, and would he be interested in interviewing? And he said absolutely, and he would have no problem doing that. Yet the council people up here seem to feel that it's not something that should be put up to the public. So I have to vote no on that. And I did not say, Jody, that I was not, have these people on the board. I think that they're good. I think that they would interview well, and I think that the judgment can be made at that time when they interview. I think that's the process of good government. And I think that by doing this way, it's stifling the community's ability to participate and to be a part of it. And I think that is just not a good way to run this town. So I vote resounding no.
Resolution 37 is adopted. Resolution 38.
38 is not unlike 37, except that reappoints member, chairman, and vice chairman to the Town of Riverhead Planning Board. And this is in reference to Edward Denisevsky. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Once again, I vote no. This is not personal. I'm voting no for the stated reasons.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yeah, it's ingrained in the community. He has experience on the town board, on the planning board, and I'm voting yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Once again, I vote no.
Resolution 38 is adopted.
At this point, I'd ask anybody from the audience that would like to come up and speak to the board?
Now I guess it's time.
Yes.
Back again, John.
John Dunleavy, Calverton, New York. I'm not going to congratulate you because I did that before. But anyway, I tried to get an assisted living for the seniors. We have 25% of our population are seniors. And the old supervisor could not be convinced that and the town board voted with him that we don't have a senior citizen complex in Riverhead. I just wish that the supervisor today, Ms. Jean Smith, that you'd realize that the town of Riverhead is the only town in Suffolk County without assisted living, and that we need one here because we brought the older population in, and now we want to, I think the town board wants to get rid of them, so they don't want them to stay in Riverhead, but I think they should stay in Riverhead. Most of them have been here for 15, 20 years, and all their friends are in Riverhead. So I just wish that you'd push that and see in your term if you can get an assisted living here, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, I'm not against assisted living.
Now I could say hello. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Greg.
Greg Fisher, I have 2 properties, a commercial one in Riverhead, a residence in Calverton. So of course I'm concerned about taxes and how they continue to go up, and always concerned about any place to cut. That would seem we're spending money that's not necessary to a compelling interest of government. One of the things that came up recently was George Latimer, who was elected in Westchester County as county executive. Right after his swearing in, he actually said that he would not allow public officials to have their likeness or names on anything except for the central government property. So I would ask that the board consider in future work session that we adopt the same policy, that we not waste money on signage for parks and other things where public officials are well known. But to waste the money on re-stenciling, creating new signs every time somebody's elected seems wasteful, and certainly not to any compelling interest of government.
So you're talking about the signs that say,
Who the supervisor is?
Supervisor is, highway superintendent, anything for any elected official other than on town hall, for example, or on the highway department, but certainly not everywhere and anywhere. It's unnecessary.
Well, Greg, you'd be happy to know that I'm not doing that, so.
Well, thank you, and it should
The
be a
decision's already
resolution,
been
though.
made, so.
Something
And I
with-
thank you.
I thank you for doing that, that's great. Something with lasting impact if it was a rule of the town.
Okay.
I would
Take
appreciate
it
that,
under
thank you
advisement.
very much.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, everybody. Rex Farr, Coordinator for the Coalition Against Housing at EPCAL. First of all, congratulations to the 2 new members of the town board. I had thought about talking about transparency, a word that you've used at least a half a dozen times in the last 10 minutes, but certainly disappointing with the way the last 2 resolutions went down. There is no more time for party politics and partisanship. I'm here really to set the table for the EPCAL deal. The coalition started focusing on no housing, but over the last 16 months, with so many new partners, players, what have you, in the deal, it's been very confusing. It's also, the coalition has had to deal with other issues other than housing, but that are part of the EPCAL deal. I do hope that we get to transparency and that we as a community will be allowed to participate in dialogue. There are a lot of very smart people in Riverhead. There are a lot of people that have spent a lot of hours with me over the last 16 months, some of which are going to be speaking today, to give you heads up for not only the Q&E session that I believe is coming up in 2 weeks.
Correct.
Okay, we will be submitting questions. The following speakers will be breaking down some of our concerns. Again, ladies and gentlemen, please, just keep in mind, you live in this town too. We're out of time. Let's start making some smart decisions. Thank you.
And I think one of our first steps with the transparency is that as soon as we possibly could, we got the contract onto the website for people to see. So that, you know, we are looking to be as transparent as possible with that, and that was our first step in doing so.
Congratulations. No, I agree. I agree. Thank you.
Again, offer my congratulations
Thank
to
you.
you and Ms. Kent. I look forward to the coming weeks and months and an improvement in transparency and the situation here at Town Hall. I think I might even be able...
Speak up, Mike, what? Speak
Can you
up.
hear me? I'm looking forward to being able to finish my sentences when
Oh,
I'm
there you
speaking.
go. That's
Thank you. I'm here representing the Riverhead Neighborhood Preservation Coalition. As a member of the coalition against EPCAL housing, the RNPC must strongly object to the current agreement between the town and Calverton Aviation and Technology. The previous town board deliberated behind closed doors for all of last year on the intended deal to sell most of the remaining EPCAL acreage to several different corporate entities formed by Illuminati. Not one, but several. Then, at the December 19th meeting, the board voted to go forward with a deal with a purchaser that had been in existence for less than a month. All this occurred without any public viewing of the proposed agreement. Then, within the last few days, thanks to the new supervisor, the agreement has been made public for the first time. Upon review, we submit to you that this agreement is invalid and must be carefully revised before any further action, including any hearing on the qualifications and eligibility of the purchaser. A summary of just a few of the problems with the proposed agreement is as follows. Number one, what land is being sold? The first whereas of the agreement states that, quote, seller is the owner of lots 6, 7, and 8, end quote, on the map shown in Exhibit A. Also, paragraph 1A refers to the property as that described in Schedule A. But there is no Schedule A attached to the agreement, and the map in Exhibit A does not show Lot 6 or 8. How can the town possibly sell any land when there's no valid description or map of the property we're selling?
I think there should be, if what was scanned there is not correct, I think we have a copy of the lot. Where would that be located? In the town clerk's office? So it's available in the town clerk's office with, it was hard to scan what was in there, but it should be complete in the town's clerk's office. But we'll double check on that.
Well, there's also no Schedule A, so I don't know where that is.
I think it was
That's
just
what she's referring to.
article, is it,
It's a
exhibit, I
map.
think it's Exhibit A.
Right.
The
Exhibit
Exhibit
wording-
A.
It
the
says
wording is-
Article A.
The wording is Schedule A.
Schedule A, okay.
So how can a contract be considered valid if there are mistakes in it? 2, what portion of the land being sold is supposedly, quote, undevelopable? And why is that not clearly marked on the map? Furthermore, we cannot comprehend the reason for including land, possibly 1,400 acres, in the sale that cannot be developed. We believe the town should consider retaining ownership of those acres and creating a nature preserve and/or a park, perhaps with the assistance of a private or institutional organization qualified to maintain and manage it. Was the scenic and rare natural value of those acres to the current and future citizens of the town given serious consideration? And why is the town placing so low a value on those acres? Once they're gone, they're gone. Number 3, will housing be prohibited indefinitely for this potential owner or owners and all future owners? I know you think that's true, but the language in the agreement appears vague on this point. In particular, paragraph 12B states that, quote, "The property shall be exempt from all changes in zoning laws, ordinances, and other regulations that change the land uses permitted." End quote. Well, the current zoning of this property allows housing. So if we can't change that, what does that mean about housing being allowed?
We can change that, and that is going to be changed, or I'm going to put up a resolution to have that change to go to public hearing. Then it would be up to this board to vote on down the road, should they decide to go along with that. On our attorney's advice, this won't be done until after the Q&E is over, and it won't be done until after there is either a deal with Illuminati or not a deal with Illuminati. But that paperwork is being worked on as we speak.
That was the covenant.
To remove the residential from the zoning altogether. So it's not just a covenant and a contract, it's also gonna be a zoning change that's gonna have to require going back to SECRA. It's quite a lengthy process, but that's what I'm proposing to put up.
Well, I'm reading the language in the
Correct.
contract. If you
It-
sign
it-
this
it does
language
say no-
before you make the changes, then they're exempt.
No,
No.
there's the only exemption, according to our attorneys, the only exemption is that you can change in the zoning is to remove the housing. Because there's the no housing is allowed under this contract, and though it says you can't change the zoning, the only exception to the change of the zoning is to be allowed to remove the housing from the zoning code. That's the exemption from the no change in the zoning, that's written into the contract.
Applying the contract to the zoning.
Yeah.
I didn't see that, and I would ask you to make sure
I don't
it's
have the
there.
contract in front of me, but in the covenants, it's
covenant.
covenant, it's down towards the bottom. I don't know what number it is.
Well, okay. In the very last paragraph, Exhibit B, paragraph 7, this leaves open the door for, quote, "uses permitted under Town Code 301-341, including housing and commercial development." And you're saying that this is going to be changed before the Q&E or before the contract is signed?
No, you gotta read further on in the contract, there's a covenant
That's
in
the
there.
last sentence.
There's a covenant in there that removes the housing per the contract. What we're gonna do is take it a step, or what I'd like to do is take it a step further and remove it from the zoning. So it would be a change of zoning to remove the residential housing out of the zoning for that property.
That's if Illuminati doesn't go through, and the town does not go through with the contract for Illuminati. Our lawyers have advised us that we cannot do it at this time, and it is SECRA, it's a lengthy process, as Tim said, and so, yeah, we're being told by our lawyers, we're all being told by our lawyers, that we cannot do that now.
Phil, my understanding also is that if the deal goes through with Illuminati, the town still maintains control of the zoning and can change the zoning at that time also.
And it's safe to say that you can apply the
I
contract
think-
to the zoning.
Honestly, I'm not a lawyer, I'm an engineer, but I think what you just said is debatable, and I really think you should get a second opinion.
Well, we have two attorneys working on it, and
I mean, different. Somebody who hasn't been involved and tied with the town for years and years and years.
Well,
Somebody who
we
can
can-
give you a fresh
that's
outlook.
why we hired an outside attorney.
We can also address this at the Q&A.
By then, it's too late. I think you
Well,
need
we
to
can
change.
confirm,
not too late.
we can confirm it at the Q&A, because
Never
this is
too
part
late.
of the contract that they will not put any housing there, and that they're agreeable in the future to remove housing from the zoning there. So this is something that they've told us, this is something they've told our lawyers, this is something the lawyers have confirmed with us. And they can certainly be asked at the Q&A if this is their intention or not.
The new partner in this deal is a commercial developer, and it seems to me that they're leaving the door open there too. Paragraph 9 states that the development yield attributed to Lot 8 may be applied to the development yield of Lot 6. Since we don't know where Lot 6 and 8 are located, how can this be evaluated? This is also a consideration that should have been given taken into account when the purchase price was agreed. If we're actually adding to the yield of the property in some way, why didn't we take that into account when we determined the purchase price? Furthermore, isn't this within the jurisdiction of the town planning board and cannot be granted by the CDA?
No, it's an urban renewal zone, so it falls within the CDA, not in the planning board.
Okay. There are many other problems with the agreement, including the apparent better protection for the purchaser than the town, the lack of a meaningful development plan. It's all, well, we'll have meetings and we'll talk about it, rather than something
That's
definite.
what's presented at the Q&A.
And the lack of an unknown, they're referenced in several places, something called separate documents that will supposedly be revealed only at the closing time. So the public has not seen this. I don't even know if you folks have seen it. What is in these separate documents that are going to be revealed at closing? These issues will be presented by the other members of the coalition for your further consideration. I trust that the town board will reject the rush to proceed with the Q&E hearing and will seriously address the fatal flaws in the current version of the agreement before any further decisions on this sale are made. Thank you.
And as you are aware, Councilman Hubbard and I voted no to go to the qualified and eligible based on this contract. And I also voted no for the zoning that had the housing in it.
And I did ask the attorneys just to write up a little clarification of where we sit right now, so I'd just like to read this just so that you're aware. And it's basically that the prior board negotiated the agreement in good faith over a 7-month period. The parameters of the agreement were fixed by the letter of intent that has been previously agreed to by the town board. At its December meeting, the board adopted a resolution that accepted the agreement as written, subject only to the purchaser being found to be a qualified and eligible sponsor. The resolution then scheduled the qualified and eligible hearing on January 17, 2018, which will be coming up. Since the board accepted the agreement as written, its material terms cannot be changed by the present board. So the place that we're sitting in now is that we have this agreement and we need to move on to the qualified and eligible. So just a little bit of information for you.
And in the order of transparency, this is the first time that I'm hearing that there was questions that were asked of our lawyers that we were not aware of and we were not privy to the answers.
I didn't ask the lawyer a question. I asked them to draft a statement about why we are where we are now.
Okay, well, would have been nice for the whole board to see that.
As everything else. Linda Nemeth, Calverton. The whole Grumman thing is not only convoluted and confusing, but I'd like to ask, how many actual acres are being offered to Illuminati?
I think it's 1,670.
Of those, how many does he?
I'm sorry, I stand corrected, 640?
634.
Do you have a
1,634.
Do you have the contract?
1643, 1634, it might be
It's
transposing the numbers.
thereabouts, within 30 or 40
And
years.
of those, how many do they plan on using?
This is what we will find out in the qualified and eligible.
And those acres that are not being used presently, what will happen in wording to the remaining acreage that supposedly cannot be used? What will happen to that?
This is what the qualified and eligible is, and these are all questions that we ask them, how they're going to develop the property, what they have planned over a period of time. Obviously, this is going to be a long build-out. So these are all questions that need to be answered to the satisfaction of the board at the qualified and eligible.
And for that amount of acreage, what is the actual price per acre that it's being sold for?
I don't have the breakdown of the price per acre. It's
Somewhere around $17,000 an acre?
That's possible.
Interesting. Okay.
But I might just say that some of the acreage, and I didn't vote for the contract, I didn't vote to send it to the qualified and eligible, and I've been kind of fighting it all along.
I hear you.
But I would like to say that around the runways, where there were grasslands, where there were threatened endangered species, the DEC said that those properties could not be developed.
I do understand.
So there are several acres that the developer who's coming in has an intended development plan, and any map that he puts forth to the DEC would also have to come back to the planning board. And it's the planning board's assumption also that that acreage around the runways, specifically the eastern runway, and the forest or the wooded lands could not be developed.
Okay, thank you, Judy. Another thing, John brought up about assisted living, and I do agree there is a need for assisted living. Within the Calverton Civic, we had talked with a gentleman who was proposing something called Calverton Manor or Cal Manor. There's an assisted living proposed on the corner of 25 and Manor. A very nicely developed area, so that it wouldn't be tremendously, make tremendous impact on our local traffic, local living. Mill Road and Middle are totally different. And that's what the objection was from so many people in the area. The quality of life is getting more and more crowded. I understand that, populations grow. But if there's ever another communication considering Mill Road all the way up to Middle Road for a massive complex such as an assisted living, it will be a disgrace upon this community. It will cause disastrous accidents. It's bad enough if you've not been here or lived here most of your life. That corner of Middle right now in the middle of the winter is horrible. People running through, and I'm sure it'll be a light eventually, but that's not the point. The traffic backup is incredible. So please, if that does come up, I would like you not to consider that area for that purpose. Thank you.
And I will resurrect because I had sent Mr. DeCanio to the Calverton Civic Association and spoke with Rex about it, about presenting the idea of an assisted living there. And it was rejected by the previous board, but I'm hoping that the new members of the board would be open-minded to it and take a look at it, because I was definitely against commercial sprawl going west of the Long Island Expressway, but there is a great need for an assisted living, and I think it's an appropriate location for it.
Thank you.
Right across from Splish Splash.
Good afternoon, Linda Prizer, Jamesport, also the Northville Beach Civic Association. Happy, healthy New Year and congratulations.
Thank you, you too.
I would like to, I'm an attorney. I've never done a commercial contract of this size, but I have done zillions of residential contracts. And when I reviewed the contract, I have some serious questions about it that I would like to raise, please. On page 1, in the fourth whereas clause, which purchaser will have to prove financial capability, skill, and expertise? Is it Calverton Aviation, 555, or Illuminati? Can't tell.
It's Calverton Aviation and Technology, the LLC, but the principals will be the 555 and Illuminati.
Okay, will they have to prove as well?
Yes.
And they are forming a new LLC called 555 Real Estate that would partner with Calverton Aviation. So that's all, these are all questions that are coming out at the public hearing, and I have several of them that I want them to answer when they're at the podium. So we are trying not to, we're hoping that their presentation will be thorough and that our questions won't have to be as specific as yours. But I did read your email, and I thought you had some excellent points.
Okay, thank you. But also now we have another corporation. Are they going to have to prove their skill as well? And how are they going to, and how are they going to be tied into this agreement of sale so that they become liable under it?
We are going to be asking for documentation and proof of financial, and members of LLCs, and make sure that those members are staying involved and that there's an annual reporting of the members of the LLC so that we can be sure that the people that are saying that they have the financial wherewithal to build the project are the ones that are in the project at the end of the day.
Well, shouldn't then this be revised, or at least an addendum be made to it to incorporate them as well?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. The attorneys are working on that.
On page 2, Roman numeral 2B, why is the escrow being held by a title company? Attorneys have more liability, and they are held generally more accountable than a title company. As a matter of fact, there's a point later on where we are supposed to be indemnifying the title company if they do anything wrong, and I'll get to that. Why is the town going to be responsible for that? Terrible. And why is the interest on both the initial deposit and the second deposit, that's $1 million altogether, being paid to the purchasers if it hasn't been released previously to the seller? Typical in a contract of sale, the interest follows the money, so that we should get the interest as well. Why give it away? On page 5, F, If the purchaser is in breach, the entire escrow fund should be determined to be liquidated damages, and all of the fund plus the interest should go to the seller. Again, that's typical in a contract of sale, not just partial. That's to make sure that the purchaser does what the purchaser is supposed to do. On page 6, it refers to an Exhibit C. There's no Exhibit C attached. This also
The Exhibit C was not put on the website, the town website. It should be up there by the end of the meeting.
Okay, well, it
I saw
also
that was
was
an oversight.
It also wasn't what was filed, because I've got a copy of what was filed on December 28th, and it wasn't attached to that either.
It was an oversight that it wasn't attached yet, so it should be up there by later on, by the end of the meeting or right
Okay.
after that.
Okay. This also doesn't say what happens if the purchasers don't proceed with the work. Does the property revert to the seller, or does it lie in disrepair? Does it allow any other affiliated company to take over? On page 7B, why give them 180 days for due diligence? And why not require some proof as to why they need an additional 90 days after the initial 90-day period? That's a half a year that we're again allowing this possibly to lie fallow and nothing happening and no taxes being paid to the town.
I think because that was originally put in the letter of intent.
Pages 9 through 10, K, the purchaser should indemnify and hold the seller harmless against any third-party suits. It seems to say that in a later paragraph, but it should also be in here to avoid any conflicts or problems. Page 10, L, liability insurance should be at least $10 million. We were taught in law school, add a zero or at least 2 zeros onto any demand for liability. A lawsuit for one person could easily be over $2 million, and multiple parties could be suing. We should have at least a $10 million policy to cover. Page 11, Roman numeral 6A1, doesn't make sense. Either apportion it or not. Make it clear. Page 12.12, you need a copy of the separate document, as Phil had pointed out before. Page 13B, this gives too long a period to cancel for title defects. I know a title report on a residential property can be obtained in 24 hours. I'm sure on a commercial, it doesn't take this long to get it. Again, we don't want to have this lying without it generating tax, and we do have other interested purchasers.
And this report's like this big, right, Bob, for the Calverton property? The title report's probably this big, going back to when it was owned by the Navy and all the covenants that they put on it.
I've done ones where it was Mrs. Brown's cow up in Albany, but again, it doesn't take that long, believe me. A little incentive to the title company and they'll get it done. Page 15, Roman numeral 8A. Why would the seller agree to indemnify and hold the escrow agent harmless? This is ridiculous. It's not our problem. If they create a problem, that's their responsibility. Again, the seller's attorney should be holding the escrow. That's what's common. Page 22B. We had discussed, I believe, that how can the parties determine exemption from zoning laws or the town zoning code? Why not put right into it, into the contract, that they agree that there will be no housing, and they agree that if there is a later revision of the code, that they will go along with it. Just make it clear. If it's in a contract, we have no problems. Page 24.1. Who determines that the development team has, quote, adequate experience?
That would be done at the qualified and eligible. That would.
But who's going to be determining it?
That
Us, them?
That would be us.
Okay. Page 27C, the seller should be held harmless and indemnified regarding remediation, period. No questions on it. And then I just want to just briefly address what has been attached as Exhibit B, which is the intended development plan, which is vague. It's not a stated plan. You have statements like they're going to initiate conversations. What does that mean?
We agree with you.
Okay,
We all agree with you.
Again, we're taught in law school, make everything clear. If you're clear, then there's no questions.
But
Thank
all
you.
of those questions, as the intended development plan and the prospective build-out and the time of the build-out and the people that they're hiring and the salaries that they're going to be paying and everything having to do with the intended development plan will be discussed at the qualified and eligible, and what they say on the record, they will be held to.
Thank you, I'll be here. Thank you very much.
Let me just say that I'm very pleased that people are taking advantage of the contract being on the website, and I certainly hope that people turn out on the 17th with prepared questions.
Me too. I sent an email to our lawyers asking them to put it up on the website because I saw the public notice was up there and the contract was not. So I sent an email and got a reply email from our lawyers saying that they delivered it to the clerk and that it was going up on the website that day.
My turn?
Yep, go ahead.
Hello. Taqui Turchin, Riverhead.
I'm sorry, what was your name?
Taqui Turchin, Riverhead. Welcome to the new board.
Thank you.
Mine's short and sweet. It's about recording of our town meetings, the video recording. I, as a resident, and I have spoken to several others who are very interested in seeing it in its entirety, posted in its entirety to Channel 22. We'd like to see a lot, I've spoken to several people, but personally for me, we'd like to see a lot more use of Channel 22 for all the different types of meetings that are available to us. So in that effort of transparency, which is very evident today, you're talking about it, and I can see that everyone's nodding their heads, so I look forward to it. The other I'd like to add is I'd like to see agendas immediately available after these meetings. It seems that the minutes of these meetings would drive the agenda for the next meeting, and anybody who can't make it to these meetings and doesn't have access, that they would have it on that Channel 22.
Okay.
Thank you.
How long before when the minutes usually go in after the meetings? They're very quick.
The turnaround time?
Yeah.
It could be up to 2 weeks, I think we have
Okay,
up to 2 weeks.
up, 10 days to 2 weeks for the turnaround time for the minutes. But Channel 22, a couple other towns stream live, so that's our goal.
Yeah.
So we will work on that as we move forward.
Thank you. I was mentioning the agenda being towards the Town of Riverhead website. When I went to look on there to see what I could anticipate, I could make no plan.
Okay.
So it would go towards the transparency on the website as well.
Okay.
And there should be a clearer description as to what the application is entailing, not just the name of the person or, the tax map number, but an actual description as to what's on the application and what they're proposing. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Thank you, yes, thanks. Congratulations to all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John McAuliffe from Riverhead, and I serve as effectively secretary for the Coalition Against EPCAL Housing. First, since I was more immediate in my earlier comments, I did not either wish you a Happy New Year or congratulate the new board and the returning members. So
Thank you.
that's-
Thank you.
John?
Okay.
All right, now that's it, you're done.
I am going to give to the clerk the text of both the legal points that were made and the summary that came out of our discussion on last Friday. I'm going to just point to a couple of things that I think have not been mentioned in verbal. One thing is that I think we know where we are today when Supervisor Jen Smith read the statement from the lawyers that material terms cannot be changed, that just the Q&E is supposed to be looking at the capability of their ability to fulfill the contract. The sense of having been railroaded in the last board meeting of the previous group is palpable. It's worth noting that Mr. Dunleavy, in his vote, his decisive vote to go ahead with the contract, emphasized that he was voting in order to present the contract as a whole to the new board, and that the new board would be able to simply reject the contract as a whole. That it is not limited to trying to determine whether or not at least in his opinion, which I think is maybe different than the lawyer's opinion. The attorneys have obviously a material interest in this going through in a certain way, but in his opinion, the decisive vote was based on the presumption that the new board would be able to just throw the whole thing out and say, okay, let's start in the beginning. I think that part of that process, which the current supervisor could do, would be to reveal what offers were made to Mr. Walter that were not shared publicly or shared with the other members of the board, so we know exactly what the real context was over the last 6 or 7 months. The other, this may be snarky, but it is hard not to note that in the town's resolution about what a Q&E session should look like, there is the phrase demonstrated integrity and responsibility. That phrase does not appear in the contract. Given the known record of the principal proponent of this project, demonstrated integrity and responsibility ought to go front and center into the discussion of the Q&E. The
And it
relationship.
will.
Thank you, I'm sure. Let me just see, so I don't. I'd also ask that if you're going, I noted also the fact that the contract refers to a map that's not actually attached to the contract, so that if there is a different version, I hope it is made available online, not just.
I will look into that after the meeting. Obviously, there's confusion about it. So there is a map that has the lots laid out, so we will get that online and make it available.
Yeah, it's a technical problem that should be solvable.
Yeah.
And I would agree certainly with what was said by Jody, by Councilwoman Giglio, that this presentation of a development plan is a joke. I would actually have thrown out the contract as being totally irrelevant and non-binding with that as the development plan, and said, okay, let's go back to scratch. The history of the constant evolution of this in terms of the serious money in it raises all kinds of questions. I think if you had a way of delaying this Q&E so that all of the financial data, all of the language that is to go in to prohibit prescribed housing, all of the other information is available to the public, not on the day of the Q&E and not simply in response to questions of the Q&E, but are available in public dissemination beforehand, the questions will be much more rational and relevant.
I agree, it would be very nice to have all of the information beforehand, but the Q&E is scheduled, so what information they will provide to us, we will make available. But the Q&E does not have to be, if we're not satisfied or the information hasn't been provided for us, or people from the community are asking for other information, and that we also feel that there's more information needed, the Q&E can be held over and continue on for more than one meeting.
Okay.
There's nothing to say that it's one meeting and the decision gets made there. So any questions that are not satisfactorily answered, there will be a continuation then.
But could you also simply continue the Q&E and not have it on 14 days from now, but delay the actual Q&E until after it? Simply on the basis that the contract as it stands does not provide adequate basis for a Q&E?
No, you have to schedule the Q&E. I do
Based
not
on
believe
this
you can,
contract.
yeah, it has to be based on this contract, you hold the
That's
Q&E.
what I say, there is the sense of a railroad that went steaming ahead 2 weeks ago, and that we're living with its consequences.
But we can ask them for information at the qualified and eligible hearing and give them time to submit that, and give us time and the public time to digest the information as to the eligibility of the applicant, and then, like Laura had suggested, is hold it over and reopen it at a subsequent town board meeting to discuss the information that was given to us.
We have several questions on this document that are really Q&E questions, but I think are worth, again, getting a lot of advanced definition about, including the aviation uses that are intended, and whether the purchasers, if there's any reason why they feel they have to purchase all of the land. I'm sure it is not just out of the kindness of their hearts to save us $100,000 on mowing the grass. So I think they need to be forced to explain why they want to buy everything rather than only the relevant developable land at this point. obviously, you're going to press very hard to find out what the actual proportion of ownership is in these new
Yeah, all,
companies and all of those things. So that's your good governance and figuring out what they actually amount to.
and we welcome questions. We welcome questions on that night, and also even if you want to pre-send questions in, that will be okay. I think we can put a link up on the website so that if you want to send your questions in earlier, so that we are prepared too, with what the community may want us to ask as we move forward, or any documentation we want to request of them when they're coming in. I think that would be certainly appropriate.
Okay, well, I trust, despite my comments earlier, that whatever the interests were that led to those earlier resolutions, that on the substantive point of this, that we are dealing with people who are following their own conscience and their own good judgment about the future of the town and what will actually benefit the town of Riverhead over not just 2 years or 10 years, but for the foreseeable future. So,
Amen.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Amen.
Thank you. Eric Biegler, Reeves Park, New York, Vice President of the Sound Park Heights Civic Association. One, I want to say congratulations and welcome to 2018, the new board and the new board members.
Thank you.
We will have many times where I get before you and ask for things. I'm going to extend an offer now that we are willing from Sound Park Heights to help you with anything you need going forward. Don't
Thank you.
hesitate to call and ask. I do want to make one other comment. That was all I had initially, but then those 2 resolutions came off the floor. And I want to say that this is a little bit of a personal bugaboo for me. The planning board and the zoning board are arguably one of the most powerful organizations we have in this town. They influence this town more than almost any other body, and respectfully, almost even more than this body. And not one person in this room has ever voted for any one of them. So, blindly appointing people, although Mr. Deniseski and Mr. Whitmire do an excellent job, and they are truly entrenched in this town, you do not know what you have in this town unless you open it up to other people and let other people come in and interview. You have to raise the bar. And maybe, just maybe, there's a golden diamond out there that's twice as good as Mr. Deniseski and twice as good as Mr. Whitmire, but you don't know it because you didn't open it up to the general public. And I hope that on future appointments, this gets rectified and looked at. With that being said, again, welcome to 2018. Let's move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Blass. I'm from Jamesport, New York. Happy New Year. Congratulations to the newly elected board members and re-elected Ms. Giglio.
Thank you.
It's very exciting to the new members. You're going to really have a wonderful time learning lots of new things and
We're
having
starting off with a
opportunities
bang, so.
to meet and help a lot of people in the town, and we're very grateful for your presence here. Okay, I have a lot of questions about and comments on the proposed agreement, but some of them have been discussed already today. I'm going to try to focus my comments on Section 9, which is the subdivision approval contingency clause. I think there are some really serious issues here, and it's a little bit of a different perspective than what's been raised thus far, so I hope you bear with me. This contingency clause suggests that the development from Lot 8 shall be transferred to Lot 6, wherever Lot 6 may be. I understand there was a problem with the map. This is not a proposed residential cluster subdivision map. What mechanism in the regulations speaks to the transfer of a commercial build-out from one lot to another? What is even the measurable yield? There's nothing quantifiable about how much development you're transferring from one lot to another. And what's going to happen to that lot after the yield has been transferred? Does it become sterilized? These are very relevant and important planning questions that need to be addressed. Let's assume for argument's sake that there's a proposed site plan that depicts the allowable build-out of Lot 8, and it's got to respect all the clearing limits, all the setbacks, all the buffers, all the FARs, and everything else adopted, including the constraints and the restrictions on each of the lots that exist out there. wherever and whatever constitute lot number 6, can this lot absorb this additional development without exceeding its own allowable coverage, clearing limits, FAR, setbacks, etc.? Has the planning department reviewed and analyzed this map to determine whether the overall balances and thresholds that have been which were approved as a function of the FGEIS on the property, and your adopted 52-page finding statement that sets all of those balances and those thresholds for the entire property? You can't just assume that you can transfer from one to the other and not potentially upset the balances of all of those
I'm
clearing
gonna let Jody
limits.
address this, because it is a smaller lot. You're
Yeah,
more versed in
it is a smaller lot, and what they were saying is that the lots to them would be more valuable to surround the runway where development is proposed on the old subdivision map. So where there was development proposed, if you were to overlay the subdivision map that we were approved, the development that would have occurred within lot 6, to move that over, or from lot 8 to lot 6, lot 6 would be more valuable around the runway for the uses that they're proposing with the aviation.
Again, and I'm sure that's all can be demonstrated. It would have been more prudent, in my opinion, to have had input from the planning department to ensure, again, that those balances and thresholds were on the entire 2,300 acres,
I don't disagree with you, which is why I voted no to send it and set it up for the qualified and eligible hearing. Barbara, we just saw that map, the new subdivision map, probably, less than 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Less than 2 weeks ago. So that's why we voted no. We hadn't even seen the amended map. It was not ready to go to a qualified and eligible until these items were addressed. I agree with you.
And quite honestly, again, in my humble opinion, I don't think it's even ready at this point.
I don't
But
think
again,
so either.
I understand the position you're in. I do respectfully suggest, however, that this newly configured 3-lot subdivision is a major departure from your update to your urban renewal plan and the reuse plan for the property. It constitutes a brand-new application and requires supplemental environmental review. And according to this contingency clause, the town has 1 year from the end of its due diligence period to actually file a new map with the county, or the agreement can be terminated and the deposit returned. Somewhere along the line, you are hamstringing the actions of the planning board. This is urban renewal. You have site plan approval process, but the subdivision process, I believe, remains with the planning board.
Correct.
You have a contingency clause in this. You're really binding what may be an untenable performance standards on the part of the town, and I think that you should proceed very cautiously in that regard. I've been involved in all aspects of the planning and redevelopment struggles of this property over many years as a member of the planning board, as a chairman of the planning board, and then as a councilwoman. And I do respectfully submit that this rather reckless clause could conceivably undermine much of the redevelopment efforts to date. It's too risky, and it's really not the time to skip the details. So please proceed cautiously.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll take that under advisement.
I've heard so many questions, I'm wondering why we're selling it at them at all. I have a question, and I'm not a lawyer, but if Illuminati buys this property and has said that they will not put housing, as I understand it, that somebody has declared housing will never be put by this buyer onto this property, what's to stop them from selling the property, and that agreement doesn't apply to the new owner?
That's why we want to go further into the zoning, change it, which we have the ability to do so, and remove it forever. So it's not an issue
Therefore,
regardless
the
of...
zoning itself will declare they can't.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
But the covenant will be on the land and run with the land, that if they were to sell it to somebody else, the covenant saying that no housing could occur will still exist on the property. So a new buyer would know that there's a covenant that says no housing.
Right.
But it's, that's if the buyer were to buy it directly from the applicant who's before us today. If they were to buy it from us at a later date, if the applicant is deemed unqualified and ineligible, then we will move right away to take out the housing out of the zone.
Barbara also mentioned a down payment. I don't think the town ever got a down payment.
No, we have not yet.
We have it off the market for almost a year and didn't get a nickel out of it.
Terrible. That was the letter of intent that was agreed to, yes.
Thank you.
Vic Pershnowski, 533 Elton Street. Congratulations to the new board members.
Thank you.
It was a very boring meeting until the end, so it was exciting. Thank you for adding some excitement to the new year. As most of you know, I represent one of the businesses that has property in the town that was interested in partnering up with Illuminati, and we declined. All I would say is the most important aspect, all the technical stuff about the zoning, and I agree the zoning should be changed. Commercial contracts, we've gone to closings where terms are changed at the closing, and buyers were willing to give up their deposit if the sellers didn't agree. So all those conditions can be changed in the future. The most important aspect of the hearing on the 17th I would focus on is the relationship of the financial backer to Illuminati. That's the key to this whole deal. I can tell you from personal experience, I would urge the town board to be very, very, very diligent in exploring the arrangement, the side agreement that's probably in the works or not in the works or could be developing between the financial backer who has the money and Illuminati. That's the most important aspect of this. And Supervisor, you're right, you can always adjourn this further on, and all the other technical issues are true, and the contract probably has to be tightened up. And you will change the zoning, because I think you have enough votes there now to eliminate the housing and the retail, any possibility of a retail. I'm not too worried about, I'm very familiar with this group that has them, they definitely have the money. They actually have more money than one of my clients. They do business all around the world. They do 50-50 between retail and office and industrial type of work. But you will have to get that clarified. You'll have to lay it out what they want to do for the plans. That's just my only advice on it, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to point out everybody because sorry. So one more.
My name is Thea Cohen, and I'm a resident of Riverhead. I live right across the street from Town Hall. I want to say Happy New Year to everyone, and congratulations to the new board members and the new supervisor. This has nothing to do with the Illuminati and EPCAL, although I want to congratulate all those who have spoken and are very sharp on everything they talked about, and hopefully, you're open to what most of them have to say. And on the other issue of the resolutions, I hope that's all worked out, and you all work together and cause no divisions between the board. That's the most important thing. Now, what I'm bringing up now is I know there's a lot of development going on in Riverhead and EPCAL, and there's good things happening, but there's also an undercurrent of something that hasn't really been brought up too much, and that's the issue of the opioid crisis. And I have been involved with the new recovery center that opened up in Hauppauge for the past year and a half, only because I live next door to the River Point Apartments. Actually, I'm in between the Sober House, Bobby Hartman Sober House, and last year there were 2 heroin and opioid deaths on both sides of me. But that's not to count of those that have not you've been aware of the other deaths that have happened on the North Fork and in Riverhead, and quite a few in the apartments next door. So what I'm bringing up is that there have been organizations that have been raising the awareness, education, in schools, libraries, and bringing this out to the public that there is a solution. It's recovery. There's not enough recovery out here. Usually in rehabs, it's just 14 to 28 days, and then what? So, as you know, the town of Southampton has admitted it has hit home, and only because of the death of Drew Scott's granddaughter. And they have formed a task force, an opioid task force over there, and they're grabbing the bull by the horns.
I've actually just been asked to join the task force, so I'm on the
That is a
task
wonderful
force,
thing.
so-
And They are actually going to make a visit in March to the new recovery center, the new task force. And I have spoken to the new superintendent, Dr. Enriquez from Riverhead School. And the organization, the recovery center, actually, it was formed by FIST. FIST is an organization formed by the parents who lost their children. It's called Families in Need of Treatment. Have gotten together with Lyra Lycad, Families and Children, went to Oasis, and Albany, and the state of New York funded 6 recovery centers. Okay, so this is this recovery center has been going out, and the different organizations, including FISCO, is going out to all the different schools. So Dr. Enriquez agreed to have them come out and do an event, and with speakers and family educations and tables set up for all kinds of recovery solutions. So I'm asking the board to be part of this, because I don't know, if she can do it herself. You need the school board involved, you need the town board involved, and Riverhead working together for the East End.
I think we very much understand that. I think we very much understand that it's a crisis in our community, and in order to help alleviate some of the crisis, we need to be proactive.
Right.
So
I agree.
this is only our second day in here. But
I'm setting up an appointment with you, actually. I had called your office because what we really need is a satellite recovery center out on the East End. Now, it
And I
doesn't
think
have
there's
to
been
be
a lot of groups working for that. I think that a lot of the school districts have been working along with our state senators, along with a lot of the recovery groups, because the East End is neglected when it comes to that. You know, we don't receive a lot of the dollars and a lot of the outreach that happens up west. So there's a lot of vocal voices there, and we hope as the town to be a vocal in that, so that people know that there are families out here suffering.
That's right, and
there
it's
are
also
kids out here suffering.
it's
There's
also a
adults.
stigma that needs to come down as well, as it is coming down on the South Fork. So just wanted to bring this up.
Okay, thank you.
And let you know that things are happening for the solution to this crisis. And we're also meeting with the Congressman Zeldin regarding this, and we make special trips up to Albany. On March 6th is an Advocacy Day. If Riverhead wants to be part of that, we can
Okay.
certainly work towards those means too.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Real quickly, Angela DeVito, South Jamesport. Regarding the Q&E, you had indicated that there's questions, obviously, that you as a board are going to pose to the developer. They're going to do a presentation. They get your questions before the evening or on the evening of it?
No,
On the evening of.
Okay.
Yeah.
As members of the public, it's my understanding that we really do not participate in the sense of asking the developer questions and
true.
expecting answers from
We're
them.
actually going to put up also we'll do a whole little EPCAL thing on the website, but part of that will be the Q&E, the procedure that we're going to follow for the Q&E. The way it is looking right now, they will come in and they will present. After they present, we'll probably have public come up, ask their questions at that point. We'll have them come back and answer the questions that have been presented. Then the board will then ask them some questions. Part of it may be determined on the time and how many people come to ask questions. One of the other things that I think that we're going to do is switch it like they do in the legislature, where people, as they come in, they will register with their name so that we can keep track of everybody. And then we'll call time cards so that if we do have to carry it over to another day, if we haven't gotten to everybody's questions that is interested, or everybody that's interested in speaking, we will continue on where we left off.
We want to make sure everybody gets a chance to ask their questions, but we're also going to be careful that the same questions don't get asked over and over.
I agree that, it's for purposes of efficiency, that's great. However, one of the things is that it's one thing to ask a question and you get your answer, but you don't have time to not digest it, but analyze it. And how is that going to fit into these proceedings? And for example, you get as a board, they'll be answering your questions, and how are you as a board going to dispose of any concerns you have with those questions in a time period bringing it back? I mean, My basis for asking this is that of having participated for many years in state and federal hearings, what happens is there's a publishing of all the questions and the answers that get received, and there's an analysis by the agency of the responses that get received. And is this sort of thing going to happen? Because it's one thing just to ask them a question, and they can say this block, that's the answer there, but how does that fit in with everything, and how do you use it in your deliberations?
I think that goes back to that this is not something that's going to be rushed. If there are questions that are asked or there are answers that are given that we would like to have the time to digest and to go back and do some research on to make sure that we're comfortable with any decision that we need to make, we will allow ourselves that amount of time.
Okay, thank
So
you.
that's how we'll do it. Okay, seeing nobody else, I just want a couple things that because of the snow that we're expecting, just hopefully on Riverhead Local and the News Review, we'll keep everybody posted if we have any closings or cancellations. A couple things for garbage collection. For those that have it on Thursday, there will be scheduled for 1 hour earlier. So you may have to get out there a little bit early to put that out. We also are urging any people with cars on the road starting this evening, if you will remove your cars from the road and put it in your driveway so that the plows can go through, because it makes the job much, much harder when there's vehicles in the road to clear them appropriately. Also, if anyone is out there and you see somebody that is without shelter and that's in need of assistance, you can call the Riverhead Police Department. They are available at 631-727-4500. Also, the Traffic and Safety Committee has canceled its meeting tomorrow morning for 8:30. So we will continue to follow the storm, and we'll keep you updated on our website for any further closings.
Move to adjourn.
Yep. Do you need a second to adjourn? Second.
Yep. Second? Second.
All those in favor of closing?
Aye.
Aye.
Let me go home and get gas for my snowball.